In DR Congo, miners dig through rubble with their bare hands, desperate to rescue those trapped after a gold mine collapse. Now, up to 500 miners are believed to be trapped following a series of landslides. But with Africa's vast mineral wealth used as bargaining chips for powerful nations with promises of security, who really gains when Africa's resources are battered away, and who bears the cost? This is The Conversation. I'm Dashen Usman. Let's talk. In the rugged hills of eastern DRC's Lomera region, desperate hands claw through packed earth with nothing more than shovels and bare fingers, racing against time to free miners trapped by a collapsed gold shaft. Now, 6 of their friends have been yanked to safety so far, only one seriously hurt, and every rescue reminds us of how scarce safety nets are in places where illegal pits outnumber proper mines. Yet, beneath their feet lies fortunes, in cobalt, copper, lithium, and even more, the very minerals powering our electric cars and smartphones. All the while, governments hungry for stability are quietly signing minerals for security deals with the US, China, and Russia, trading access to these treasures for military aid. But rather than building strong institutions or even lifting up local communities, these particular deals more often lock in low prices, shunt revenue into hidden accounts, and also deepen the richest pockets or the elite's control. So if Africa's vast mineral riches can fuel the world's green revolution, why are its people still forced to dig by hand, and at what cost to their future? Joining me at this time to discuss this, we have Akilimali Chomachoma. He's a freelance journalist in Kinshasa. He'll be joining us. Maurice Carney as well, Executive Director, Friends of the Congo in Washington, D.C., is joining us. And we also have Edgar Tabaro, a legal practitioner in Bujumbura, Burundi. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. But I'm being told that as of the moment, we only have Maurice. Maurice, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure to be with you.
All right.
The fact that you only have me is an indication of the challenges of our continent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where we're filled with riches that power the technologies of the world. However, the people who are living on top of those resources, they don't have access to reliable technology to be able to communicate with the rest of the world.
Absolutely. Maurice, now, just as we've actually said as well, volunteers digging by hand and using basic tools like shovels to rescue 500 trapped miners in Lomera. What expedient measures, do you think that Kinshasa can deploy today in order to bolster rescue capacity and reduce fatalities in these informal shafts? And generally, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, there's several ways of looking at the question or the matter of artisanal and small-scale mining in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and really Africa writ large, right? But in the Congo itself, the artisanal small-scale mining is an integral part of the economy. According to the World Bank, the statistics are a little bit in flux, but you have up to 2 million artisanal miners, right, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And they support or have an impact on 10 times their population. So although the artisanal and small-scale mining is dangerous, arduous, it is a fundamental part of the economy, the informal economy. And it really has 2 dominant sources. One, of course, is extreme poverty, a system that's in place that plunders the resources of the Congo and drives people into the small-scale and artisanal mining sector to dig with their hands and rudimentary tools. That's a source that we're normally familiar with. However, there's also a tradition of artisanal mining that goes back thousands of years. And that tradition is continued to this day, or small-scale mining. We work with the Friends of the Congo, works with a coalition of organizations in the Congo called the Basanja Coalition. And the Basanja Coalition and one of its coalition members, Akilimali Films, just produced a film on the diggers at the bottom of the electric vehicle and green energy transition, a film called Mikuba. And Mikuba documents the voices of the diggers at the bottom, where they share not only the challenges that they face, successes, because they're organized as cooperatives to strengthen their bargaining power and to reinforce their capacity to deliver services to local community, where the state, the parastatal, Jacqueline had gone into disrepair. So that resulted in a spur of artisanal small-scale miners that then organized themselves into cooperatives that make up tens of thousands of diggers that not only come together to dig and get access to the minerals, but also to provide support to the local community, make sure the children get an education and they build schools, make sure the health considerations of the women in particular are taken into account, where pregnant women are not permitted to go into mines, and just to better organize those diggers.
Maurice, you talked about
the local concerns.
You talked about, providing support, education, and the likes. I'm told that Mr. Chomachoma has actually joined us. So let me just pass this question to him. Now, speaking of this support, doctors treating some of these miners actually say that a cholera outbreak infected more than 600 people. Now, between these trapped miners and local health centers that are said to be already stretched by the cholera outbreak, how can the DRC, or how should the DRC balance emergency rescue with urgent public health interventions? Because it seems like a lot to handle. Mr. Chomachoma, can you hear me?
The difficult thing is to...
All right, there seems to be a noise in the background. So let me just forward this question back to you, Maurice.
You mean in terms of how the government should balance it?
Yes, definitely.
Well, remember, right, there are several things happening, especially in the east of the Congo, that one, the government, there are certain areas that the government is not able to go. The North and South Kivu provinces, for all intents and purposes, are occupied by the Rwanda-backed M23. So that's what the negotiations are about. That took place in peace agreements, rather. It took place in Washington on the 27th of June, and just this week, another accord in Qatar, in Doha. So first, we have to acknowledge that there are areas that the government is not able to go. But even when the government was able to go, one of the biggest challenges in the Congo, a country the size of Western Europe, is a lack of state authority, right? The inability of the state to exercise authority over its territories. And this deficiency, right, in state organizing just results in all kinds of disasters for the Congolese people, whether it's, traveling on the lake with the boats and capsize and people drown, disease, illnesses like, cholera or malaria, you name it, the government just doesn't have the capacity to address those urgent matters, much less come to the rescue of diggers who are trapped in a mine. So that capacity is just not there. And in a lot of respects, one can may even venture to say that the political will may not necessarily be there either, because we're talking about a political establishment based in Kinshasa, a couple thousand miles away, where you have the political class making, I think they make up to like the elected officials, the members of parliament, $20,000 a month in a country where 70 million of its inhabitants live on less than $2.15 a day, right? So you have an insulated elite that's concerned about the politics and the jockeying for position and the capital that leaves the rest of the country, whether we're talking about in health, whether we're talking about roads, whether we're talking about education, really in disrepair. Those are the structural impediments that have been in place and continue to be in place that even contribute, right, to the spurring of the kind of intervention that we see on the part of Congo's neighbors, Rwanda and Uganda, who go in to control the east of the Congo in concert with militia groups inside the Congo itself.
All right. Now, let's come back to Mr. Edgar Tabaro. Can you hear me now, Edgar?
Yeah, although our internet connection in Bujumbura is not about the best.
All right. Well, but I can still hear you, so it's a good thing. So now, these artisanal gold sites, like the Lomera mushroom, they mushroom into boom towns, virtually overnight due to a gold rush. So how can provincial governments realistically regulate these camps when populations can actually surge from hundreds to thousands in weeks?
The biggest challenge we have about the Eastern, imagine that of the Eastern DRC, is that there is total absence of the state. The state, as we know it, the instruments of coercion, social services, basic social services like schools, hospitals, there's total absence of that. And the so-called provincial administrations, many of them are in chaos with the militia groups. The militia groups that have developed in that part of the world control the revenue, they control other processes that have to do with artisanal mining. Some of them do control the cooperatives or are from the cooperatives themselves. So regulation, as we know it in the modern state, is totally absent in that part of the world. And mind you, many times we talk about militias in the DRC, and the impression we get that these are necessarily rebels. No. What we have there is that the indigenous persons in that part of the world have come up with their own mechanisms for defense and security, and therefore rather mushrooming so-called rebel groups of militia that are not necessarily negative forces that have come to fill that vacuum or the gap that has been left by the effective state. So when you talk about offering security and defense and security for the mining activities in that part of the world, it has to take care of those the dynamics of the peculiarities in the Eastern DRC. So it's the reason why you see some of the neighboring states taking the free ride. They're taking to free ride, especially in those territories, because of the weakness of the Kinshasa administration in control of that part of the DRC.
Okay. All right. Now, let's come to you, Maurice. Maurice, at the June 27th Washington sign-in, President Donald Trump declared that the U.S. had secured a lot of mineral rights from the Congo. This actually raised public doubt. But how do such statements affect Congolese trust in their own institutions?
Congolese trust in their own institutions? You said Are you talking about the fact that Donald Trump said that he secured mineral rights?
Yes, in Congo.
And how that has played out among the Congolese population?
Yes.
Well, Donald Trump, certainly the United States is in talks with the Tshisekedi administration, President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, to secure mineral rights in exchange for peace. At least that's how it's being billed. However, a lot of that is dependent on a peace deal, security coming to the east of the Congo, and that is uncertain whether or not the Kivus, the North and South Kivu that's occupied by the M23 militia and its Rwanda backers, are going to withdraw, so put down the guns, so that some modicum of state authority can be set up, or reinstated rather, in the east of the Congo. However, Donald Trump and his business colleagues, campaign financiers, they're set up to benefit from Congo's minerals, certainly.
Absolutely.
But they do not yet have the deals that Donald Trump is trumpeting, so to speak. But they are looking, for example, at the Rubaya coltan mine, the largest coltan mine in the world. A colleague of campaign financer Donald Trump is trying to get access to that. You have the likes of Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and the billionaire class in the U.S. who are looking to get access to the Monono lithium mines. They've raised $1 billion thus far this year to pursue those mines, the Monono lithium mine that is under their company called Cobalt Metals. You have former Blackwater mercenary Eric Prince and CIA intelligence folks who are pursuing mines in the Congo, but it's not as may not be as Donald Trump has laid it out, because you have the Chinese who control the lion's share of the copper and cobalt mines in the south of the country. So in the east is where they're looking, where that's occupied, looking at tantalum mines, coltan mines, looking at lithium mines, and even you have an American company that's currently there in Walikale, that's in a large tin mining area in the Congo, where the Trump administration had intervened with Rwanda for the militias to lift their occupation of Walikale so that the tin mining company could restart. So there's a lot of interest that's going to be served, expected to be served as a result of this deal. Economic interest for the United States, interest in the U.S.'s pursuit of critical minerals in its competition against China. You have regional interests in terms of Rwanda, who's going, according to the deal and the regional economic framework that they've laid out, would be processing minerals that come out of the Congo, minerals that they're getting now illicitly. They stand to get those minerals licitly and transform them. And then you have the Tshisekedi government, who looks to has been able to stave off the push towards getting him out of power on the part of the M23 and the Rwandans. The main thing that's missing in all of this is the people. The question of justice, the question of reparations, question of accountability, and the question of them benefiting from their own resources so that they could have decent internet access in order to even speak to you. They're in Nigeria. So that's the big missing in this whole equation, the concerns of the Congolese people.
Akilimali, I'm told he has been able to join us. We would actually speak more on China's interests as well. Akilimali, if you can hear me, reports actually say that the DRC negotiations hope to clinch, a U.S. minerals for security pact by the end of June to actually help end the M23 rebellion. Now, aside benefits, are there any sovereignty concerns?
any consequences on the ground right now, because those kind of negotiations are only with actors of war until now, because in the last Saturday, the government of Kinshasa and the M23 signed a protocol which should be should give the general point of view about what they were going to discuss, and to make sure that at the beginning of August, in the middle of August, sorry, they should have an agreement. But until now, the fight still continue in the area like Walikale, and the situation is not changing at all. On the ground, the situation is the same, and the population is still suffering, and also the situation in mind are still the same, with with people which are digging with hands, with any other materials which can help them to only dig and survive after a day, and receive less than $5 per day, and try to survive, and tomorrow to come back. So until now, there is no any impact with this kind of agreement on the area of the war, first of all, and even on the area of extracting minerals.
All right. Now, let's come back to you, Edgar. Edgar, some experts, or so many experts, or rather, have actually warned that these particular deals are even harder to value and monitor, than typical mining contracts. Now, can you tell us, is it possible, or do you think that the government can ensure that these mining wealth from these deals actually reach displaced people and rural communities?
Ever-present challenge, and I think more than these. Let me put it this way: when talking about the militia groups, it's going to be very difficult to demobilize them and resettle them into the population. The life of a militia, or if I may call them soldiers of fortune, is much more profitable than leading the life of a civilian, because they control the supply chain within the DRC. Now, as to whether the government has the capacity to make sure this mineral wealth does trickle down to the ordinary persons, that's going to be an ever-present challenge. And governance issues, the DRC still, they're still at the embryonic stages of deepening governance and reach amongst their people. But more importantly, I want to pick on the point of justice, justice, reparations, and restoration of the persons who have been mined, those who have lost loved ones, those who have been displaced, those whose properties have been destroyed. We can't talk about sustainable mineral development, sustainable exports, sustainable access, without addressing the aspects of justice. There are many heinous crimes that have been committed in that part of the DRC. Some estimates put the figures at 6 million. Now, there's no way you can continue talking about development without addressing the aspect of justice, reparations, and more importantly, social justice. And the persons who have committed these crimes, some may have passed on, but others who are responsible for these crimes are alive. They are Congolese, and others are Rwandans and the other neighboring states. So there's the aspect that has been mooted before in various forums, and I think it's now time for it to gain currency. We need a special tribunal, special criminal tribunal, special crime tribunal on the DRC, like we had for Sierra Leone, like we had for Yugoslavia, like the one we had on Rwanda. Special tribunal, so that we do get justice for these people. We can continue, praising this and that, and talking about the shift from China, minerals for infrastructure bill, and minerals for security bill. But I can assure you, 30 years from now, other generations from now, the issue of restoration and justice will keep arising. So it's about time that we took the bull by its horns and set up that tribunal. And I hope everyone, with all of us here, will agree that there is a need to address the issue of justice.
All right.
Over to you.
Now, we have a few minutes before we go on a break. Maurice, let's talk about, the fact that some security analysts have actually noted that the U.S. is more likely to send military equipment than boots on the ground, than soldiers themselves. Now, what does this provision, the provision of hardware rather than troops, mean? That's troop deployment. What does it mean for the conflict?
I don't see the United States sending soldiers to the ground. And the U.S. is already providing equipment to the aggressor nations. The United States is armed and financed and trained through AFRICOM, the Rwandan soldiers and the Ugandan soldiers. So that's been ongoing. What you're likely to see is what's underway, where you have mercenaries. We can call them security companies, like in Eric Prince's security company, going in to protect mines, to protect the supply chain, to ensure that the minerals get out. That's the interest of the United States, primary interest of the United States. So beyond that, even senior advisor to President Trump, Masad Boulos, he said, it's up to the Rwanda and the Congo to live up to the agreement. The United States is not looking to get involved in that way beyond securing the minerals that are coming out of the Congo to serve U.S. industries, and whether it's the auto industry, the tech industry, or the military industry.
All right. Now, I think with that, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we will definitely continue this conversation. Do stay with us, gentlemen. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on the conversation. So today on the show, we have been discussing the sad incident that happened during the landslides in Democratic Republic of Congo, and also linking it with the Minerals for Security Pact with the U.S. And we still have Akilimali Chomachoma, Edgar Tabaro, and Maurice Carney with us to speak on this. Thank you for staying with us, gentlemen. Now, let me come back to you, Akilimali. Akilimali, we know that these types of pacts, often bypass environmental and human rights standards. So what safeguard clauses do you think must be non-negotiable in any new agreement?
The first thing here as a civilian society is something about the important thing to not give to people which did crimes to not give them more power, and to not give to the M23 the commandment of some areas, and also to try to solve this problem securely and to solve it one time forever, because there is a lot of things which happen now. Right now, it's 30 years, more than 30 years, and this conflict is killing so more people, and people are really waiting for this point, for this agreement. But people are really also waiting for the point of view from the government to solve the problem also, because if the M23 didn't really withdraw, if Rwanda will not withdraw its soldiers in the Congolese soil, Kinshasa should manage how to take it. So people are really seeing the President Tshisekedi and his government, and are asking him more results on the ground, and more result which respecting dignity of people and which giving possibility of justice to people which are in need of justice and which are in need of reparation for crimes and for bad things done by the M23 and Rwanda troops and also other group enemy which are involving in the east of DRC.
Coming back to you, Edgar. Edgar, China already runs half of Congo's largest cobalt mines, and you did say so, earlier. How do you think Beijing will react if Washington's new pact sidelines some or even most of these Chinese firms?
Agreements that were signed between China and the Kabila administration, by now it had to do, I think it was an exchange for building infrastructure, roads and what have you. But, when it's government to government, it's usually politics at work. And if it were, say, the private sector, private companies that are dealing with government, definitely they would arise administration proceedings in some city, the preference is London or, Paris, under the conventions, the arbitration conventions of those two states. But being government to government, there comes complications, and I think from my reading is that Tshisekedi has read his options, and he thinks America has a pair of hands to deal with, because China, quite frankly, does not really intermeddle in the politics of the states in which they are involved in Africa. So it will be the usual battles, the battle of the titans, and the Kinshasa administration or the Kinshasa elites are going for what they think is best for them. We are seeing strange alliances that are popping up in Kinshasa. We are seeing Kabila, who was a strong enemy of the Kigali administration, joining the AFCM23 alliance. So at that stage, we can only adopt a wait-and-see attitude, we observers, and see how it pans out. But one thing I'm certain about is that America has got more interest in the DRC, has got more interest in security. There's the Lobito corridor. The Lobito corridor is not being done just for the sake of it. It's for purposes of accessing the critical minerals that America needs for its own industry. Lithium, coltan, cobalt, and these are vast resources, vastly endowed in that part of the world that is being contained.
Speaking of these minerals that you've actually, mentioned, the IEA actually forecasts that copper demand would be up 50% by 2040 and lithium demand up 800%. Now, in this context, and I'm passing this question to you, Maurice, don't you think that Kinshasa should leverage future demands to get better terms or even rush to secure immediate investment?
Do a lot of things that would benefit the 110 million Congolese people who live in poverty, really. If you look at what Indonesia has done, for example, that may be a model for Kinshasa to follow. Indonesia produces nickel that's vital to the energy transition. And they said that no nickel is going to leave Indonesia raw, that it has to be processed and refined. And they negotiated with China to build factories locally so that they can refine and process their nickel. And they're looking to taking all the way up to the production of batteries. Now, unfortunately, you do not see that vision. There may be rhetoric coming out of Kinshasa, but you do not see that vision. I mean, just think about it. Think about it. Congo produces up to 3/4 of the world's cobalt. That is to say, if you take all the countries in the world and you put them together, they do not equal what Congo produces in cobalt, which is a key ingredient for electric batteries. Now, surely you would think that would put the country in a position to negotiate on behalf of the Congolese people. But unfortunately, I said Congo produces 75% of the world's cobalt or so, but really it's the companies in the Congo, the foreign companies, the Glencores and the Ivanhoes and the China Molybdenum, the Eurasian Resources. Those are the companies that are producing the cobalt, not the Congolese government or its parastatal. So there are models in Indonesia if you want to see what countries ought to be doing on behalf of their people. There are models in Chile, right? See what companies are doing on behalf of the governments are doing on behalf of their people. And so you just don't have that kind of vision, that type of leadership to really do what's in the interest not only of the Congo and the Congolese people, but Africa, because we're talking about the heart of the African continent that's in the process of being captured by international finance capital, major Western corporations, right, for the benefit of a political elite that hasn't done anything for their people. So it's not even solely a Congolese question, it's really an African question. There needs to be like some serious intervention before, when you talk about 20, 30 years down the road, what we're going to see is in Africa that's gutted, the heart that's gutted, where the resources go out to serve, Europe and to serve Asia, but not to serve Africa overall. So this should be really an alarm, a cry for Africans to see what kind of intervention that they can make on behalf of the Congolese people, because the leadership is definitely not of the mindset of preserving, the future of the Congolese people or the African people at large.
Okay. Now, back to you, Akilimali. Now, earlier we did talk about, how there are warnings that these kind of deals would be hard, to value and also monitor. And we also talked about, how they bypass environmental and human rights standards. So what about when it comes to risking, prolonging child labor and also violence? What needs to be done about it?
What is need to be done about this topic? I think the first thing is to make sure that those industries are secured, because as you can see in those videos, people are digging here without any security measure, and this is not in only one video. It means it in all mines here in the east of DRC, because some secure mines are still in Katanga, but in Katanga also there are so many mines which are not secured. This is the first thing, and the second thing is to make sure that the government has some person and also civilian society actors like local NGOs are authorized to access to those mines, and to make sure that they have information, and also that the government is taking the right the right decision about report, because also there are reports of NGOs like Peace, there are NGOs like SODIP, which are always producing, and and they are always producing reports which are showing how the situation is going on and how women and children are using in those mines. But it's an issue of an international pressure to those actors, because it's an international market which are buying those products, and also it's an issue of the government to make sure that it has it has its authority on those mines, and civilian people, including children and women, are not inside those mines, and this will happen when the government will take control of those areas, because some of those areas, most of them right now, are under control, for example, of the M23. And if we're going to the area like Ituri and Maniema, there are also other rebel group which are controlling those area, and this is something which is not very good. There is an international initiative which were organized, which called ETA, and it were doing traceability about the product from mine. They say this cobalt, this coltan, this gold, this diamond is coming from this mine. It were not it's not coming from the area where children and women are exploited, but it's difficult to verify that it's a good initiative, but it's difficult to verify if the government is not in that area, and if the government has really the intention to make sure that those mines are protected, because the big issue also is to involve the community on the ground.
Akilimali, if it is a good initiative domestically, how much or what more can the DRC do to capture more value? Because, for instance, neighboring Botswana got a bigger share of diamond cutting from D-Bears, and also Congo has moved to restrict raw cobalt exports. So what more can Congo do to be more valuable?
The mine is protected, as I've said, because the problem of mine of Congo, why is the value is not right now here? Because the government is not controlling any mine. First of all, even secured mine are under hands of international companies like Glencore, like KCC, like Shemaf, and other mines are under control, are under illegally control of Chinese and Lebanese, which are only taking an area with the help of Group Army, and they are controlling the area. They are inviting digger to come and to dig. It means it's to really make sure in those kind of deal, in those kind of exchange, to make sure that the price is good and the price is better, and to make sure that this will happen is the government to develop institution which will really verify and which will really certify about the origin, the quality, and the quantity, and also to make sure that tax are paid, because there are so many companies which are paying some authorities, and they have exoneration from so many taxes, and so the government will lose money. The government is every year losing millions of dollars in this sector because of this issue of not paying tax, of exoneration, because if you pay an authority somewhere, he will give you a kind of letter which will make you to don't pay taxes, which will make you to don't pay communities, because in the Congolese law, it's mandatory to companies, to mine sector, to give a percent to community, to local community, and to build like road, like school, like hospital, and other need, and to restore also forests, because many mines are destroying. It means the first thing is the government to take control of those areas, and to make sure that they have the strategy to make sure that those areas are secured, and has a lot of results, and those results will make that mind to have more value.
All right, Akilimali, thank you for that. Now we're about wrapping up. Maurice, let's have your final thoughts. And, the fact that corruption is actually a major concern, and we know that. And the NJRI actually notes that firms from wealthy countries are often behind bribery, especially in African mining projects. So what anti-corruption safeguards could the Congo strengthen to ensure that its new deals are transparent and fair? And this is for you, Maurice.
Going to set up. It's like the fox watching the hen house. I know here in the United States there are laws that are passed that have an impact on companies that are engaged in Africa. If the companies step out of line, they're fined, even though that's hardly a measure to prevent corruption. But the key thing to understand about corruption is a two-way street. There's a company here called Archzif in the Department of Justice here in the United States. Fined it for corrupt practices in Africa and the Congo. They provided a slush fund for Israeli billionaire Dan Gertler to purchase mines for pennies on the dollar. So it's not just on the part of the Africans, right? African governments, which is often what's pointed out, but also on the part of the U.S. government and its corporations here. Strong enforcement here, accountability. There are civil society groups in the Congo that are doing a remarkable job in oversight and shining light on corrupt practices. So I think it's a combination of enforcement of laws here, strengthening of local institutions in the Congo that are already doing a remarkable job of documenting corrupt practices. But overall, beyond the corruption, the key in all of this is to ensure that the Congolese people come out beneficiaries. Whenever we see these deals, the peace deals, the mineral deals, they're almost always at the expense of the masses of Congolese. The challenge is to ensure that the Congolese communities, local communities, women, youth are involved in these discussions, and that whatever comes out of them accrue to their benefit.
Maurice, apologies, time isn't on our side, but we also have Edgar. Edgar, in less than 2 minutes, can you please go ahead and tell us, give us your final thoughts, especially the voices that you feel are missing in some of these high-level talks, because some have said that women, youths, and displaced miners, can be meaningfully included in shaping the very security and mining policies that affect their lives.
Exactly. You read my mind exactly, and that's what I wanted to say. You just got the words out of my mouth. My biggest worry is that from all the discussions and the agenda setting that I'm seeing emerging out of the Congo, out of the DRC, Washington, and the other cities like Beijing, there's the total absence of participation of the Congolese people, the populace of the Congolese people. What we in Kiswahili-speaking East Africa call the wananchi, or the common man, the common person. They are totally absent in all of these discussions. So we seeing a situation, we're seeing an emerging trend where the elite sit down, sit in air-conditioned flash offices in Kinshasa, at the Oval Office, and they're determining the future of persons who are not involved in the discussions. So the Congolese people are only being participated instead of participating in the processes that do directly affect their well-being. So unless and until that is addressed, we are going to have the ever-present challenge of these mining deals not benefiting the local populace. Over to you, Central TV.
So thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time and for speaking on this so in-depthly. Akilimali Chomachoma, a freelance journalist, thank you so much. We also had Maurice Carney, Executive Director, Friends of the Congo from Washington, and Edgar Tabaro, legal practitioner in Burundi. Thank you so much, gentlemen, once again.
Bless you.
And that's all on the conversation today. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Do not forget to catch up on any of our missed episodes on YouTube channel at News Central. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Until next time, I remain Dashen Usman. Bye for now.